Oh, look, 102. My God, where do you all wait when you're waiting for this live to come up? I'm really curious to know because I can't see it anyway. Maybe it's because I'm logged in as me. Maybe it would come up on my other phone. How are we all? Hi, Leah Jones. Hi, Just Edits. It's just me, I'm afraid, tonight. Nadia, very tired. She had to turn in early. She had to retire early. Not ill, but she had to retire early, tired from play. It's been a long old day. Hello, everyone. Monster Mash. Hello, Raspberry Mojito Girl, December 1982. Love that name. Hey, Tom, Alison Fisher, Josh Pittard, Lucy Williams. How are you, Josh? Hope you're well. Puddle Duck, Lottie Howe. That's Reality, Margaret Biggins, Jess Edits, Elizabeth Gordon, hello my darling, Louise Mitchell, Lisa Cadman. Just watched the Home Time vlog, so proud of Nad. She did well, she got there in the end, didn't she? Anne-Marie Greco, Angela Breaker, James Noonan. Let's pull up the video of you all. There's me looking very bizarre in front of the dishwasher. So, here we go. Yeah, I've just put in the title, the few headlines that I can see swirling around at the moment. It's becoming a curious thing, isn't it? Yes, Faith Goodman, I know, 102,000 today. Everyone aged over the age of 5 with symptoms eligible for coronavirus testing. Not entirely sure about that. I can't smell or taste anything, Jess Edits. Then you're going to have to, am I right in thinking that by the strict new guidelines, if you can't smell or taste, you now have to self-isolate? Is that right? If you suddenly... Nadia was very irate about this. I didn't understand why. I mean, is that because this is something that should have been known sooner? Or... Nads is tired. Nads has gone to bed. She's retired early from the game of play. Have you heard what Donald Trump has said? What a cock. Josh Pittard. Can't say I have. No, not yet. I've noticed that he was taking his... I can't pronounce the drug that he's promoting. We make curry tonight and we can all smell it, so far so good. Hydroxychloroquine or whatever it is. Yes. I guess if he wants to take it, he can take it. Yes, it's part of the symptoms. Yeah, no, so it's part of the symptoms, not getting this live. What do you mean not getting this live, Margaret McKay? Not getting it as in understanding it. We are chatting about what's going on, what the headlines are around coronavirus, and lack of smell is a big thing. On the evening newspapers, they keep talking going back to school is becoming a ticking time bomb, isn't it? Because I think the government are going to push for June the 1st. And will lockdown be lifted more quickly? The sense I'm getting is if the numbers keep on coming down, presumably at some point there's going to be a green light, isn't it? On the sort of Nando's peri-peri heat chart of 5 down to 1 with COVID. Aren't they then going to sort of take us down to 3 and then 2 and, suddenly it's all going to be fandabidozy. I'm curious to know whether there is going to be a second peak. I'm curious to know if there's going to be a second peak. Maggie, when Maddie was ill much earlier in the year, she did complain of having no taste. Obviously she no longer has symptoms of anything now, and this was ages ago. We're looking at January, I think. I mean, there's going to be a huge swathes of people who've had this virus way before it was even a story. Who may well have antibodies. Schools won't be giving parents fine if they choose not to take their children to school. That's a good thing. Well, I bloody hope so, Francois Camanzuli. I did say, I think schools could open and it's down to the choice of the parents, but of course that leaves teachers in an invidious situation, doesn't it? What time did you start live? I don't seem to be getting it from the start. We've only just started live. It must come up as a notification way before I start. So I've only been going 4 minutes. Lynn Aoki, I've been getting sore heads and a blocked ear. I've had a blocked ear. I wonder if a sudden production of earwax is a symptom. That'd be curious, wouldn't it? No, Nads isn't on Loose Women tomorrow, Josh. Elizabeth Gordon, but if Maddie had it, wouldn't you all have caught it from her? You'd have thought so, but of course we could have caught it and not had any symptoms, because the vast majority of people have no symptoms. So we could all have antibodies. Then what? We all go running around the streets. Evening all... where's Ashley? Ashley, where did you go, sir? Evening all, just want to thank the people who gave me comments on the Garden View Live this afternoon. It's on my IGTV channel, check it out. Oh, bless you, Ashley. I hope you're well. Can I just recommend the Mix for anyone under 25 with literally anything? They offer free counselling sessions, really helped me so far with my issues. Jake, and might be helpful for some. That's a good suggestion. We were talking about doing a mental health live, but time has run away with us today, and we want to give it some proper attention when we do it. So we will be doing that later in the week. Yeah, I mean, Helen Smith, my uncle lives in Australia. I mean, I hate to say it, Nadia's gone to bed, guys. I hate to say it. Oh, interesting, Judy. Every time you have an upper respiratory issue, cold or whatever, my nose is clogged, I lose my sense of taste. That's been since I was a kid, though. Anyone's nose run? My nose was running today. Had terrible, terrible hay fever. Louise Jones, tell my 27-year-old son Adam Jones to stop being a pain. He keeps pranking me. I'm the biggest pranker in the book. I'm the wrong person. I think you might have to ask Nad to say that. 75% of people are not sending their kids back to school. Hey, here's the thing. Here's where I think we're at with the whole crisis. I think the numbers are all coming down. I think whether we like it or not, we're going to have to come out of lockdown quicker. Loads of businesses are diversifying and looking for ways to serve. I mean, most restaurants in London, for example, are going to be setting up stalls outside, even Nando's and places like that. They're going to be selling food from the street. I think that all makes sense. I think if we can all go about our lives as best as possible with social distancing as the new norm, I'm almost certain that will prevent a second peak as big as the first peak coming. Surely, I mean, surely, wouldn't it? I've had a rash on my face since January. The only thing, the Go has only just managed to get me something for. Sorry, Tom W, you don't understand that. I'm ready for slight normality, being 22 and a relatively low risk with the vulnerable shielded and numbers lower. Exactly, Kerosene Whistle. I do think we're at that point, dare I say it, where we may all need to start stepping out from our caves with caution, and where we can all work from home. We work from home. Hi, Darren Boy. Hope you're well, mate. Haven't heard from you for a while. I hope everyone doing okay, as much as we can all be okay. So can I just ask, most people who are on here now, are you all still, if not self-isolating, are you all still staying at home, a la the old message? Yes or no? Are you staying at home? Claire Smiley, we will be doing a mental health chat another time. It's quite difficult just to skim across its surfaces today. We did a chat about it this morning, which I think was quite useful. But we will be doing one about eating and one about alcohol, but also just because it's going to be about those subjects doesn't mean it's about not about everything else. Anxiety, yes. So the vast majority. That's great. Okay. Yes. So a number of people shielding. Kids here in America are getting critically ill after having virus. Mistake to think only elderly and those with morbidity. Yeah, I know. I mean, I suppose the proof is only going to be in the pudding. I suppose in a weird way, I think I might be of the opinion that we have to loosen things a little to see if we can live lives normally. And if we poke our noses out of our shells like tortoises and it all starts to go terribly pear-shaped, we quite rapidly pull our heads in. Pull our necks in and get our heads back in. Do you know what I mean? Do you think that's the way to go? A sort of slow, sort of like toe in the water type procedure. And then if it gets a bit too hot, pull it back in. Yeah, Maddie hooked up with a friend in the park today. It was really nice. Socially distanced, all the rest of it. It was really nice for her. She needed that. Nanny Di, I will be safe social distance meeting Nanny Di on Wednesday, so hopefully we'll have some footage of her in the flesh rather than on a Skype screen. Have you noticed everyone is clearing their throats, Abby, Iris? Are they? Everyone? RMP's still getting full pay, just curious. Not too sure about that one. Yeah, I mean, I think we need to be careful. Kerosene Whistle, the risk to children has been proven to be way less than everyday risk. Yeah, I mean, do you remember when they were trying to close schools? There was a lot of resistance to it because everyone kept saying, it's not a threat, it's not a problem, it's not a danger. Um, so, yeah, where is Boris? Boris, I think, is... Boris doesn't like being asked questions, though, does he? He's not a big question answer. Jess edits, Mark, are you and Nadia Labour voters too? We have voted Labour in the past, though we weren't big fans of Jeremy Corbyn. So we're not ardent socialists in the sense of a Jeremy Corbyn. Have you watched an immunologist called Dolores Carhill? No, I haven't. I'm ready to go out and about. I'm desperate to go out and about. I'm desperate to get back in the world. I'm desperate to plug in. I'm desperate to be free and do what you want to do, but safely, responsibly, observing social distancing and all the rest of it. I want to be able to, see friends, go out. Emma Apthorpe, I did say that about my PhD. That's funny, isn't it? I heard the French schools, Mark, and this is truly old TV, I heard the French schools went back and a child has died, so I don't know if it's really true that children are less at risk. Is that true, really? And do they know that it's definitely from COVID? It's not that I'm becoming a naysayer suddenly. I'm curious to know how we ever conceivably get out of this. Let's assume we never get a vaccine. Then at some point we're going to have to accept that we can live with this. And I think the sooner we can get used to knowing what the new normal is, certainly as a parent, I think, the sooner we can get on with making deliverable promises to our kids and to ourselves. Do you know what I mean? Because at the moment it just feels like a never-ending, nothing's going to change. I mean, my biggest fear is that we're going to start releasing the control. And if a second wave does come in hard, though, have we seen a second wave come in hard anywhere yet? Can someone tell me, have we seen a second wave come in hard anywhere yet? I know there have been little outbreaks. I know there have been little bit. Has there anywhere in the world been an outbreak or a second wave that's been as big as or worse than the first outbreak? I don't think there has. I genuinely don't think there has. I'm sure, you see, Lucy Rose, I know, I keep, the whole second wave thing. No, there hasn't, has there? I used to live in Great Bar, Birmingham. I did used to live in Great Bar, Birmingham. Only second wave is at the Seaside Centre, very funny. Not yet, but I think there will be. Yeah, I mean, in a weird way, it sounds awful, but we might have to just test that concept, because if there isn't a second wave, then we can all move on a little bit. Leslie Gammon, following the science. If I hear the phrase following the science, I was trying to explain this to Nads. There's this idea that there's one fixed scientific answer to everything. And as one thing this crisis has taught us is science is as subjective a subject and as subjective a tool to analyse things as political ideology or religion. It's totally subjective. It depends on the science that you're using. And so this idea that we're following the science, that there's, it's a real shorthand that's used to just shut the public up. Because who's going to argue with science? We all have to respect science. But there are so many different scientific attitudes, readings, models, approaches. Following the science is it actually means nothing. It's an actual, okay, let's put it as it is. Following the science is actual gobbledygook. It means absolutely bugger all, but it's a very quick, fixed way of shutting people up, us, namely, and the press, and trying to say science is, they're following the science. Yeah, but what science? There's a school of scientific thought that that eugenics should happen and we should control populations. It's not science we all want to sign up to, is it? But it's scientific. There's science within it. So do you know what I mean? I find all this following the science stuff total nonsense. We can find out facts. We can find out facts about things, and obviously one fact that came out today is that we can state for a fact that you lose your smell and your sense of taste. Following science, what a cover-up. We need facts. I wish we could wave goodbye to the government, Ryan Fleming. Yeah, it'd be interesting to know how this government's going to come out of this, whether they're going to be seen as the saviours or not. My son is on a flight from New York to Dublin tonight, Mark. Just a handful of passengers who will self-isolate for 10 days before I see him. Oh, interesting. Yeah. Marked the 20th of February, I said. Yeah, sorry, Leslie Cameron, I'm not quite understanding what you're talking about. 30th of February next year, following the science. I work in Sutton Coldfield, Mark, in a nursery. So anxious and scared. Oh, dear. There are lots of people who are worried about it, I know. But again, you know, we have to stress, unless you're shielding someone in your household, it is highly, and unless you have an underlying condition, in which case you shouldn't be out anyway, it's highly, unlikely that you're going to come to any real harm if you look at the statistics. I haven't watched Money Heist, whoever's asked that, because I haven't got anyone to watch it with here. Does anyone want to watch it with me? Yeah, so I'm struggling at the moment. Who's that? Michelle Chandler. I'm really pleased that the death rate has come down, but what worries me is the infection rate. That is still rising and putting stress on NHS as they go onto wards. Michelle Chandler. Yeah. Dawny Harvey, I'm sorry, it's taken 2 months to say smell and taste are a sign. No shit, Sherlock, we all knew this in March. I know, I think one of the big problems the government's got is that they haven't exactly excelled at doing things. I tell you what, does anyone else agree? I think if we'd gone into lockdown sooner, we would have come out of lockdown sooner, rather than looking at all these other countries. If I hear someone else say, well, let's learn from the Danish model, let's learn from the New Zealand model, I'm really pleased, but those countries have done something profoundly different. They test, contact traced, and all that stuff, and they locked down very quickly and then proceeded to hunt it out and destroy. We're doing it all arse about face. We're doing it right at the end. We're bringing in quarantine and fever cameras in airports after everyone's travelled here and left here. And we're just going arse about, and we're testing everyone now, and we're coming out of lockdown at the point when we should have probably, I don't know, it's all just so ridiculous. They've just gone, they went into lockdown too late, and they're potentially coming out of it too early. Because they went into lockdown later, I do feel that we needed to be a bit longer in lockdown, and I think in a weird way we kind of are. But Nadia's okay. Are you putting the blog on with your cutting toffee hair? Yes, it's coming. It's just a backlog of content. So much content that we've shot. So much content. There's just so much good content. Yeah, I mean, it would be interesting. Jade Louisa, I wish I could know if I had it in February. See, we're toying with the idea of if Maddie did have it, should we test her, get her tested, to see if she still has antibodies? Holly, you've just arrived in time to save my day. If we think Maddie had coronavirus in January, if we manage to get a test to test whether she's positive, is there the possibility that it might not pick up antibodies? I mean, if it gives a negative result, could that be that it's, her antibodies have run out in January, February, March, April, 4 months? Is that possible, Holly? Georgina Emery, in Spain, we went into lockdown before the UK and still under much harder. Yes, you went into lockdown before the UK, but you perhaps, in terms of your own crisis, did you go into lockdown early enough? I do seem to remember there being quite a slow response, wasn't there, in Spain? Did you straighten your hair, Mark? No. Gove today said vaccines just months away. The next interview said, I know, it's funny, isn't it? You keep getting 1 minute, you keep getting, yeah, we're going to spend 30 million and 30 million people are going to get the vaccine. And then the next minute there's a little line that says there's going to be no vaccine ever. I mean, people are talking bullshit, aren't they? What a load of old nonsense. We are so angry here in Cornwall. Loads of people camping. What's the point of us isolating if people keep coming? I know. Melissa Monane, school. We had our letter from school today about our son going back in June. A school have a your child, your choice policy. That's good. I think that's good. I think that's the way it should be. Give the choice to the parents. No fines. Holly, it's unlikely they will initially administer antibody tests to people who had a positive infection test. That is needed to know the time antibodies last. Okay. Since the lockdown, you and Nads look amazing. Thank you very much. Thank you, Thesira. Would you send your children back to school in June, Mark? No. I could pussyfoot around with a liberal kind of, no, I wouldn't. I don't buy this. I think for some children who are from underprivileged homes, etc., etc. I do think there's a concern there, and I think we could possibly find a way of being able to include them in school attendance, like the children of key workers. But I do think the vast majority of kids can cope with 4 to 6 weeks or 6 to 7 weeks or whatever of lost education. I think they can make it back up in September. I think it would be an opportunity to use the remaining weeks of this term and the summer to make schools even safer than they will be, certainly in 2 weeks, and made safer for an entire academic year. It strikes me utterly ridiculous that they're trying to resurrect school for the last 6 weeks. So I wouldn't send my children back. So once we have had it, will we always have antibodies? We don't know. No one knows. I mean, I suppose on that front, Holly, I mean, is the antibodies test only, do we know how long the test result is applicable for, or is it just for that day? I mean, do we know that the antibodies will, do we know for a fact, Holly, that and having antibodies means you're less likely to get it? Do we know that? Yeah, for 6 weeks, Daniel, it's not worth it, is it? Thank you, Sally O'Sullivan. We've got to build a wall. We're going to build a wall, a nice, great bigly wall. Here they cancelled in-person school for the rest of this school year ages ago. Yeah, Judy Phillips. I just think, you know, rather than having this really... I tell you the thing that's really annoying me. You've got the Daily Mail, which is the really sort of, you know, I mean, they're not even right-wing. The Daily Mail's just kind of like, just has to say whatever bloody annoys everyone. So you've got the Daily Mail, then you've got the government, then you've got the unions, and then you've got all the stress and all the... And it's becoming quite charged, and it's becoming quite vitriolic already. I think you could remove all of that at a time when we don't need any of that by just simply saying, here's a categorical start point. I think you'd have all sides would meet around the table and agree that a September start is reasonable. So I just don't understand why they just don't do it. I think I've said it before on this. I do feel like they're forcing schools back for the sake of it and for no other reason, for the sake of it, because we institutionally can't even conceive of the idea. Though, interestingly, we can institutionally conceive of the idea of children not going to school for 6 to 7 weeks over a summer, can't we? We can cope with that quite well. But in the biggest pandemic crisis since World War II, in terms of, you know, peacetime crisis, oh no, they can't cope with 6 weeks. It's ludicrous. It's ludicrous. Jay Irving, Mark, I cannot believe you buy newspapers. We buy them for the Sunday show and in order to get most of our information, if I'm honest, but most of them are online. David Shields, work on a UK soap and we don't know when we'll be back. There is so much to work out logistically. You're absolutely right. And also there was a piece today about our business, David Shields, saying that something like 90% of freelancers are out of work and something like 75% of the television and film industry, 75% of the workers aren't entitled to being furloughed. Yeah, there's a huge mental health crisis happening within just British broadcasting, film and TV. Florida schools closed till the end of this year. So that's interesting that even in America, where in certain states, you know, the rules are being being massaged a bit and lockdown ideas are being loosened more, they're still holding on to the idea that schools shouldn't go back. And yet here, we're sort of, it's like we've been brainwashed into something. It's really odd. Denise Lamb, good evening, young man. Good evening, young lady. Donna Martin, I'm a TA, Territorial Army, I presume, and I have seen the plans in place. It's going to be so hard in reception to socially distance for... Oh, teacher assistant, sorry, I thought you were part of the military. Teaching assistant, I've seen the plans in place, going to be so hard in reception to socially distance 4 to 5-year-olds back in September would make sense. It would, wouldn't it? Presumably it would give everyone in the educational establishment more time to sort things out. Holly, yes, there is proven immunity development and from evidence from other similar viruses that immunity is likely to be fairly long-lived. Oh, that's good news. That is good news. We did watch Normal People, and we reviewed it just before Nadia keeled over in a pile of tiredness. So do go over there after this to check out. Mind you, it's a spoiler review, so if you're not watching it, we've just reviewed 7 and 8, episodes 7 and 8. Exactly, Marius. Give them time to set up distance learning for next year. Makes so much more sense, doesn't it? It's ridiculous. Kellen H, we have seen one of Grace and Perry's art club and we really enjoyed it. Does it stay good? We'd like to see some more. The narrative of NHS and teacher being heroes is dangerous, normalises them dying. Emma Abthorpe, very, very, very good point. Very interesting point there, yeah. Especially when you looked at the headline of the Daily Mail saying, let our teachers be heroes. Well, yeah, if it's safe. Yeah, it's almost akin to saying sending your boys over the top in World War I, isn't it, potentially? Anyway, guys, I am going to keel over myself. I'm going to head off to bed. So tomorrow morning, you will get us for coffee. What day is it tomorrow? Tuesday. There'll be, we'll probably do one of our mental health chats tomorrow. We're having a Skype dinner with my eldest daughter, Izzy, tomorrow night, which will be nice. We won't be filming that, obviously. But yeah, there'll be all sorts of content all over the place. We're trying to pull together a showbiz stories because we just want to see what the rich and famous are doing in such a sort of restrained world. And yeah, lots of love, guys. So sleep tight, nighty night. Nadia sends her apologies. She's already tucked in bed upstairs, so I'm going to go upstairs and I'm going to really annoy her. Okay, bye.